All right, so we can get started. My name is Pavan Oberoi. We are here to talk about Whiteboard.chat. We are a small company called Epiphany, a new startup in the Bay Area in California. Right? We started working on Whiteboard.chat, I think about like 4 to 6 months ago. I'll talk about the history a little bit. But again, thank you everybody for joining. We are here to listen to you, to get your feedback, to answer any questions. So if you have any questions, please type them out on the Zoom chat, and one of my colleagues is going to read them out to me as we go along. Okay. So here is the agenda. I'll give you a little bit of introduction how we came about Whiteboard. We'll demo a few features. I'll share a link with you guys so you can experience it live as well. And then we'll do question and answers based on what you have asked already when you registered, as well as what you asked during this session. Right? So where does Whiteboard.chat fit into this virtual class ecosystem? It's primarily an engagement and an observability platform, right? There are plenty of communication tools which are much better in terms of audio and video quality that exist out there, and we work nicely with them, and we are using it with Zoom right now, right? There are learning management systems as well which work really nicely with Whiteboard.chat. I'll show you how teachers use it with some of these tools that exist already. Right? And what we primarily focus on is the observability and engagement. A lot of teachers have told us that after they started to use Whiteboard.chat with their students, the students' engagement has gone up drastically because of the fact that they like it, they like the product. And secondly, the teacher can observe each and every student, what they're doing in real time, and they can personalize the learning from that perspective, where they can go in and help the student where they're struggling, and basically look at where they're doing well and all of that. And hopefully we can show you some of those things today in this webinar, right? That's the purpose. But essentially, think of it like this, right? When you give work to students, you walk around the classroom, you look over each kid to see how they're doing. Imagine if you can do that for the whole classroom at the same time in real time, right? Or asynchronously when they're working offline. So that's what the feeling we want to achieve with Whiteboard.chat, right? It's like I said, we started probably around mid-August publishing it. It's growing exponentially at this point. It's almost up to 20,000 users per day all around the world. Primarily, it's based in the US, but it's you can see it's used all around the world. So any feedback that we get from the teachers. So the way we operate is that we started to build this out using some constructs that we had created for a different product, right? But then teachers started to use this, and teachers started to give us feedback, and we just listened, right? We just listened to the feedback. We said, hey, this is what will help the teachers. And we started to implement those things, and that snowballed. So now all we do is just listen. So please keep sending us feedback. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We have a really active group on Facebook called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat, where we interact with teachers as well as teachers interact with each other. So please join that if you're on Facebook. But in any case, keep sending us feedback. We have this email as well, feedback@whiteboard.chat. Right, that said, I'm going to start showing you what it can do. So it's a free product. It is web-based, so you just launch a web browser. Chrome is our preferred browser of choice. If I can bring it up. Right, so it works really well with Chrome, Firefox, Edge, but just go to whiteboard.chat. It's a web-based platform, and hit start right. There's a privacy policy, terms of use, and about us on this corner, which most people miss, but if you're really interested, you can look through those. There are two modes of using whiteboard. One is the collaborating mode, which is like a simple whiteboard where everybody is on the same board. They can work on top of each other. You can see in real time what other people are doing. You can erase each other's drawings and so forth. Right? But the more interesting one that we are going to focus on today is called the start teaching mode, right? Where you have a one-to-many. There's a teacher instructor board, and then each of the students get their own boards, right? And you can live teach using those boards. You can do asynchronous teaching using those boards, which we'll show you right now. So you just hit this. You don't even need to sign up to use our product. You don't need to create an account. It's completely free. The students never need to sign up, right? If you do sign up, you get the ability to save your work and see the whole classroom later on, but only the teacher needs to do that. So you start, the basic tool is a drawing tool, of course, which you can start drawing, right? It's a really simple tool. There's a whole bunch of other tools here. You can type anywhere you want, right? There is no concept of text boxes. You can just type, put your mouse anywhere and you can just start typing. It will type on it. You can increase the size of the font. You can increase the size of the brush. You can change colors. Kids love this, right? So if you change the color, for example, of the brush, the whole thing changes, right? The outline changes to that same color. You can change the opacity of the brush as well. So if you want to use it as a highlighter, you can do that as well, right? You can draw dotted lines if you wanted to, like dashed lines instead of solid lines, all from this bottom right. And of course, you can change your name if you wanted to, right? And then there are other tools. There's a object eraser, which you can actually erase objects really easily. You press escape if you want to go back to the default tool, which is the drawing tool in my case, right? You can draw lines. All of these things are requested by teachers, right? You can draw arrows, you can draw circles, you can draw rectangles, right? You can do post-it notes, right? Where you can put text on top of it, draw on top of it, right? You can do a rich text editor. So if you want to type like longer paragraphs, there's a built-in rich text editor where you can format things better as well, right? So that's built into the tool as well. Higher school, like kids, older kids use this a lot to write essays or paragraphs or text. There's an infinite cloner. So any of these objects can be cloned multiple times. Again, these are all teacher requested features. We didn't even know what an infinite cloner was before this. You can add links to external websites. So for example, if you want to add a link to YouTube or Yahoo, you can just create a button here, right, which will take you Google, right? And then it creates a button which the students can click and it'll open in a different tab, right? There's a dice built into the tools as well, which people like, so the kids can actually see the dice, see how to use it, do maths and stuff with it, which I'm not very familiar with, but people like that quite a bit. So that's all of the basic tools that are a part of this tools section, right? I'll just clear this board, so you can just hit this clear button and clear it for everybody, right? It'll clear the whole board. Now I will show you how you can create a lesson. It's very easy. You can just upload like a multi-page PDF. So you hit this upload button here and you go to, you can just pick a PDF file which has multiple pages, right? And the tool just creates multiple pages in the board itself. So this is page number 1, for example, right? There's a page number 2, right? And then there's page number 3, right? So all of these were 3 pages in my PDF, and it automatically created 3 pages for kids to start working on. Right, now I'll show you how you can invite. So now you've prepared your lesson. You can invite students. The way you do it is that you click this invite button on the top right. You copy this URL. This is the easiest way. You copy this invite URL. You can paste this in your learning management system. If you're using like Google Classroom or Canvas or Schoology, you can just paste that link there. And when the students click that link, they will get their own version of this board automatically, right? So if I were to send it, I'll send it to my colleagues so they can start joining it as students. And I will also open a student board next to it so you can see the student experience. I'll use a different browser, so I'm using Firefox in this case, right, to show you the student experience. So this is on the right is the Firefox browser, right? If the student has never used this tool, it'll ask them for their name so that they can identify to the teacher who they are, but that's pretty much it. Now from the teacher view, you can actually hit this grid view button and you can see all the students working on their boards in real time, right? The teacher can start, the student can start typing on the board, right? They can start drawing on the board. They cannot erase anything the teacher has done. They never see other students work, right? But the teacher has the ability to see in real time what each and every student is doing, right? Where they are struggling, how they are working, all of that stuff, right? So it's really simple, and you can join this board from multiple devices. So if you have, for example, an iPad, you can join this from an iPad, and you can use your pen on your or your finger on your iPad to start drawing on it as well, right? So so it's really easy. If the student goes to a different page, if they're done with a page, they're starting to work on a different page, for example, you can see it automatically updates this to page number 2, right? So that you can follow the student what they're doing. So think of these tiles, and you can change the number of tiles that you see. You can have up to 100 students on a board, right? This makes it too small. I'll go to 3 by 3, right? So you can see 100 students, 20 on each of these pages, but you can scroll through them to see more students. Think of these tiles as if there is a camera which is placed on top of the student's shoulder. So you can actually see what they're doing actively at any given time, right? So in real time, you can see what they're doing. That is what is super interesting. And teachers like this part the best because they can observe the students, see who's working, who's not working, where they're struggling. You can assess them, all of that stuff, right? The students have the ability to raise their hand, for example, if they want to say, hey, I'm stuck, I want to raise my hand. So you can just click this button on the top and the teacher gets a notification saying, hey, this student needs help. And the teacher can click that button and it will directly take them to that page, right, where the student is working. And then the teacher can collaborate with the student on a one-on-one basis and you can solve the problem or give instructions on a one-on-one basis, right? And once you're done, you can go back to the top of the class, go back to the instructor view, and the student can continue doing what they were doing, right? So it's super easy for people to work with students on a one-on-one basis. You can actually do that through the grid view as well. So if you click the grid view, you can click this and hit join. It will take you to that student's board as well. And you can, of course, change pages there using this page number thing on back and forth, right? So I'll show you some more tools that we have. So this is, I'll take you to page number 4. These are some of the inbuilt tools which teachers have requested us for. So this is the latest addition to our family. I'll have to turn off my camera a little bit. But this is super useful for younger kids or older kids who are doing work on paper, right? So what they can do is that you can actually take a photo, right? So you can take a photo of using your webcam of a live document and insert it on to the whiteboard, right? And you can actually use that to do assessments if you wanted to, right? That's we just added it yesterday based on our teacher's request. That's one of our newest features. And the students can do that too. So they can take work of their photo of their work, and you can see it in the grid view. You can do corrections, you can do all of that stuff live, right? There is a whole bunch of grids that we support built in. So there's a like basic math grid. There is a big grid to write numbers in if people, younger kids need to write numbers in. There's a handwriting grid built in. There's a primary line grid built in, which kids like, right? There's a programming grid built in. There's also a music sheet, right? So there is a like built-in music sheet. Music teachers use this as well. So you can work. So there's a palette here, which I'll show you. There's a bunch of manipulatives in this palette. There is also music symbols in the palette. So you can actually put music notes there. So music teachers love using this as well for teaching music theory, for example. Right? There are other like syllaboard and Elkonin boards also built into this thing, right? Let me show you. So to get to the manipulatives, you click this palette button. So it will show you a simple color picker for younger kids, or if you're on an iPad and stuff like that. And you can pick from all these libraries of elements that we have created. And this is all very simple for us to add. It takes us literally 5 minutes to add new things into this library. So if you wish that there was something that you wanted, which is missing here, we can add all of this. So we have basic alphabets, you have numbers, you have lowercase alphabets, you have uppercase alphabets, different colored alphabets, right? We have math manipulatives. So we have blocks, 100 blocks, 10 blocks, 1 blocks. You have protractors even, right? Like we have protractor, we have a ruler. Somebody is asking us for a compass, even we are going to add a compass too, right? And we have shapes, right? We have a 10 frame, we have number bonds, we have place value charts, right? So the place value discs, there's arches, there's fraction tiles, right? So you can actually do fractions if you wanted to, right? There is a touch point numbers, there's a 100 chart, 120 chart. These are all recent adds, multiplication chart, empty multiplication chart. There is also, for Halloween, we added some Halloween stickers. So you can actually do Halloween stickers on our board. So one other thing which I forgot to show you is that you can actually, let me just clear this. So you can animate objects. So this is a select button. You can also use double click to select objects, right? So if you double click, like for example, you can do different things with it. You can actually animate objects as well, which kids love, right? You can animate things flying around the board, right? You can animate, you can rotate them and animate them at the same time, right? You can actually do other operations like resize, rotate. You can clone them, of course. You can set it as a background. I'll show you these two, where you can actually create your own library for students to use from objects that either you paste, you upload, or you can use from our palette itself. And of course, you can lock it. So lock right now just prevents that object from accidental deletion from the teacher. Students, remember, can never delete anything that the teacher puts in. So it just prevents accidental deletion from the teacher, but it doesn't prevent them from moving around, which we are going to add soon too.
So Pawan, is it time to
Yes.
stop a few questions? Okay, so we've got quite a few lined up. One was, how did you type in text again? That the people haven't realized.
So yeah, you can just go anywhere on the screen, click and say hello, right? Just use your keyboard to type, right? And it'll just put the text where your mouse is.
Great. How can someone create a template board and share it ahead of time?
So yes, so that's exactly what I did. I uploaded the PDF initially, right? So I uploaded about, so this is a PDF. I created this board with the PDF. You can do that up to 3 days in advance if you have not signed in. But if you have signed in, you can actually keep it for 2 weeks, right? So you can create it upfront and then put the invite link in your classroom, and the students can start using it when they join, right?
And a very related question is, how do you create a slideshow and use the same one with multiple classes?
Right, so we cannot create a slideshow per se from this thing. You can do, teachers use it to show kids, which I'll show you in a bit, how you can walk the kids through the whole lesson before they get started. But you can just do next page, and it refreshes on the kids side as well. And then most people, you can do two things. You can actually use this tool. You can send a copy of this board to another teacher. So you have created a lesson. Now you want to share it with another teacher. You can just send them a copy, right? You can send a copy to another teacher and they'll get the same material that you prepared automatically, right? You can publish this to a community as well. We have a really big, large community where teachers are sharing boards with each other. So you can publish it there and you can consume it from there as well. You can see lessons for different classes, different subjects, right? I'll show you some of this other stuff in a bit. But there is another way you can actually save copies. So the save copy, it was right here. So you can save a copy. You can say, hey, I want a copy for my section 1 and another copy for my section 2. So you can make 2 copies of the board and then you can just reuse them in different classes. And you can see all of your boards in this managed board section. So if you go here, you can see all of your boards which you can put in folders, right? You can classify them in folders. You can see what all work you have done, who are the student boards, all of that work automatically gets saved by default for the teacher, right? You don't have to do anything special to save the boards. All of this work automatically gets saved for you, and you can go back to it anytime. The students don't need to be, I mean, the teacher doesn't need to be connected for the students to continue working on their board, but the teacher always has the latest copy of the board available to them so they can go back and see what the students have done. Anything else, Sid?
Yes, there's a few questions on how people can download the boards for like a PDF copy of it.
Yeah, so you can just click this download button here. So you have 2 choices as a teacher. You can download the whole class. So it will convert everybody's boards into a PDF, right? And download it to your local computer. Or the students can download their own boards as well. So they can click this and say, hey, download my board. It'll just make a PDF for their board itself, right? So you have both those choices available to you as a teacher. And this is the PDF that I created for my whole class. I'll just open it and show you. So you can see who was the name of the student, what was the work that they did. You can save it on Google Drive or wherever else you want it to.
And then another question about how students can go back to their boards.
So the link that I was showing you, the invite link from here, the students just need to click that link again and it'll automatically take them back to their board, right? If for some reason they want to use it from a different computer, they will have to enter their name, whatever name they used to enter the first time around, or they can sign up as well, which we do not recommend. But if they sign up, they can get to it from their managed boards too. So there are different ways, but the easiest is just to click the link again and we'll take them from the same computer, we'll take them to their board.
Thanks. Few participants would like to know how to access the tools. I guess they mean the manipulatives and things like that.
So the manipulatives are all here in the palette icon. So if you click this, you can see all the manipulatives in there. You have reward trophies also, which we recently added. You have games, you have chess, you can play chess, or puzzles.
There's a recommendation on we should be adding clock and coins and money in there as well. So maybe we should do that.
Sure. So please keep sending us requests. So there's a clock pending already. It's in our pending list. Money we can add, but we if you tell us what kind of, like, is it dollar bills, $10 bills, coins, we can add those fairly easily. Right. There's a built-in clock as well. So if you have like a timed activity, for example, you can just say, hey, there's a 5-minute time limit. You can see it appears on each of these kids' boards as well. And once it times out, it will sound a buzzer as well, right? And then people will know that time is over for that activity.
There's a question on how we can increase the font size when you type in text.
So you just increase the size of the brush. So when you increase the size of the brush, it automatically increases the size of the text as well, right? So typically, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and there's a question on how do we access the community shared boards?
So I don't think we have started to publish it right now. We are going to start. So this was something we added last night. So we are going to share that on our Facebook group first, because that's where most of our active teachers are. And once they start to fill in some content, then we'll put the link here.
Excellent. And there's another question on how do we enlarge the individual boards?
So from a grid view, you cannot, so the way you can enlarge it is that you can do number of boards. So for example, if you do 2 by 2, it automatically makes it bigger. If you click it, it becomes slightly more bigger. And of course you can join it. Right? There's another one that you can do one board per row as well, and then it becomes scrollable as well. So it's up to you how you want to change, how you want to look at things.
There's a question on how do you lock the board so students cannot access it?
Okay, so let me go back and show you some more features, right? So let's go back here. We can show you some more features. So some more features are built in into this avatar menu, like we call it. So you can click that. You can make somebody a co-teacher. For example, you want to have another teacher help you with activities. So I can make this person who right now doesn't have any visibility onto the rest of the class a co-teacher, right? So you just hit this button. This will make them a co-teacher. Now they have access to the grid view, right? They can do exactly what the teacher was doing as well, right? So it's super easy to have multiple teachers in the classroom. You can actually, so you can undo it. So now they're back to being a student, right? You can showcase a student. So for example, if you want to showcase Sid's work to the rest of the class, you can just click the showcase button here, right? And then you can see that it is showcasing Sid's work to the rest of the class. It automatically updates everybody's board to that board, right? There are more features here. You can actually do, you can create group board, which I will show you the last. You can enable follow teacher. So this is, teacher was saying that they found out that they were teaching something on page 1 and the kids were off drawing on another page. So they requested a feature where the teacher can control what the students are seeing. So if they are on page 1, the students are all on page 1. If you go to page 2, it automatically changes everybody to page 2 and so forth, right? There's another feature for locking the classroom. So this is useful when you're demonstrating again to students, right? And you don't want them doodling on their boards. You can actually lock the class, so you can continue to draw, but the students do not have ability to do anything on their boards, right? You can unlock it, then the students go back. You can create a group board, which I will show you, which is quite interesting, where multiple students can actually collaborate with each other on a collaborative board, but they still cannot erase each other's drawing. So you just hit this, you say, hey, I want Sid and these 3 people. I select these 3 people and move them over to the right, and give them a name, right? This is a group blue, and just you can create the group, right? What will happen at that stage is that if I go to the grid view, you can see that everybody has moved over to the blue board automatically, right? All the 3 students, and they can all draw, they can all look at each other's mouse, they can draw on the same page, right? In different colors, right? They're using different colors to draw. But I, as a student, I can never delete the teacher stuff anyway, but I cannot even delete the green stuff, which was put by my co-students. And you can see actually that all the students' cameras, which are on top of their head, have actually been moved over to the group board as well. So you know they're all actively working on the group board and who's doing what on the group board. Right, and once you're done with this activity, you can just press this erase thing. It doesn't delete the board, it's still saved in your managed boards, but it'll, at that point, it'll move the kids back to their individual boards, right? So they can continue working on what they were doing earlier. Yeah, so I answered all of these. You can create a one-to-many chat as well. So you can actually do a chat where the teacher can chat with the students, but the students cannot chat with each other. Again, this is enabled by the teacher only. Nobody else can do it. Okay. There are some more new things that we added. Basically, there is a way to toggle replication. So remember, whatever I'm drawing on my board, on the teacher's board, gets replicated automatically to the teachers, right? So sometimes what teachers want to do is solve the problem on their board on their own without it getting to the students. So you can do that through this new option where you can say, I want turn off replication to the student boards. So whatever I'm doing now doesn't get replicated to the student boards, right? It will just stay on mine. And if I just want to turn it off and then share this with the students as to how I solve the problem, I can do that too. But I can turn it off, and from that point onwards, everything starts to again replicate to the student board. And then there are, so Sid, any more questions, or should we keep going?
Yes, certainly. I know that there is a few more questions. Can teacher customize the toolbar that the kids see?
Yes, good question. So again, this is all teachers asks. So in this gear menu, you see the admin settings for the board. So there are several admin settings. You can see what is the default tool that you want people to use, whether it's a brush tool, a move and resize tool, or a select tool. I'll show you these two, which is quite interesting. You can also enable this saying only logged in users can access board. So students have to create a login, or they can use their Google login to join, right? Then there's the option which we recommend everybody turn on, that student only can draw on their individual board or the group boards that they are assigned to. So even they accidentally go to, when you're showcasing a student's board, for example, they cannot draw on that. And then there are two options to simplify the toolbar. So you can say students see simple tools, which reduces this, right, the number of tools that the students see. And then there is a baby mode, which we recently added, which they only see 4 tools, right? 5 now. Just a draw, erase, and a text tool, right? So we are also going to add capability for teachers to select the tools and select the palettes that the kids have access to, but it's not there at this point. Sid, anything?
Yes, Pawan, so there's a question about where did you go to open that window?
Here, so you just click the gear icon here, right? And then that's what it shows you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
There's a new thing that we added where if, for example, a principal wants to come and observe how you're teaching, you can send them a direct co-teacher invite. So you can save time. You can just copy this co-teacher invite from this menu and send it to the principal. And when they come in, they can go to the grid view. They can directly become a co-teacher without signing in, without you clicking anything. So it's almost as if you're walking into the classroom and then walking out. Sid, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question about the expiry of the board. You want to cover that again?
Yeah, so the boards by default expire when you logged in 2 weeks, right? So, but you can go in here and check when the boards are going to expire, and you can extend the expiry by just clicking this button, right? So it will extend it. Oh, it's extended by quite a bit now. So yeah, it extended by a month, over a month now, right? So yeah. So you're going to keep extending, just keep an eye out for this when the boards expire. There's been asks for us to have the ability to download those boards to Google Drive. So we are going to do that. Right now you can download it as PDF, but in a format that Whiteboard.chat can understand, so you can use it for next year. We are going to add that.
Okay. There's a question on how can you remove a student once they are in the board?
So you can remove student boards. Right now you cannot remove students, but remember the students can only do stuff on their own individual boards. They cannot do stuff on any other boards, any other student boards or the teachers board. So even if they're being disruptive, they can only disrupt their own personal board at any time, right? But you can also go and delete that student's board from here if you want to. You can just go to any of these boards and you can just hit the trash icon and you can delete any of the student boards from here.
There's a question on whether teachers need to create an account, and if they have to, where do they start from? So
teachers do not need to create an account, but if they want to, for saving their boards or configuring their boards, they can do one of these two. Either you click this icon, so I can show you here. So if you click this icon, it will pop this up. It will ask you for a local account, or if you prefer to log in with Google or Facebook, you can just do that from below here. Is that it, sir?
Yeah, there's one question about, is there a cheat sheet for all the tools that we have?
Yeah, so if you click this help here, there's a very detailed documentation about like a teacher's guide, a student guides, and all of the detailed documentations and a FAQ built in. So you can download that. It has information about all the tools that we have spoken about, at least current as of last week. So we do development first, then the documentation catches up. But yeah, so it's current as up to last week. We do almost feature releases every day. Like I was showing you that photo thing and some of the log thing we actually did yesterday. So we do releases every day, and we send out a notification if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, or if you have an account, you'll see a weekly newsletter go out on Sunday, which has all of the changes that were done of that as of that last week.
And regarding the cheat sheet, I think there's also a request for a cheat sheet for all the symbols in the toolbar.
Yes, so we can add that too. We don't have, but if you click this toolbar button, you can actually see what each of these symbols do. So you can walk them through. But we can add for sure a cheat sheet for it.
I think they may be also requesting for a cheat sheet for all the options we have in the math manipulatives and everything too, because otherwise you have to swim through everything.
Yeah, but sure. Yeah, we can add that too. But this changes almost every day. Like I said, like teachers keep asking us for new stuff, and it literally takes us like 5 minutes to add any of these things. There's a compass coming as well. I think I saw that in somebody in this webinar only asks for a compass. So you have to add a compass into this as well, so you can do stuff with it. There's a number line as well.
There's a question about from Stephanie about how do you push it out. I'm wondering if that question is related to saving lessons and then publishing them, or whether it's about individual operations. So Stephanie, if you want to get off.
So I think it's a whiteboard.5 type question, right? Like, okay. So there is no pushing this. Basically, this is a real-time board where whatever you do in real time gets to the students and vice versa. So there's no pushing and pulling of images. We are transferring very small amount of data, just the object that you're drawing. So it works well under network stress as well. Right? So there's no pushing of images per se. So you never upload, you cannot push your image down to the students and override what they're doing. If I'm mistaken, we can answer that later. Go into more detail later. What else did I want to show? Okay, so yeah, so I wanted to show how you can do some other operations like play bingo and show you how you can do create your own personal library. So one thing that you can do, which is you can upload not only PDFs but also image files. So like, let's say I have a continent class I want to do, right? So I can just upload a continents map, right, onto my whiteboard, and I want my kids to identify continents, saying where is Asia, where is Africa, and where are oceans. Right? So these objects, because the teacher has drawn by default, if I go here, I can show you on page number 7, right? And that the kids do not have ability to move them. So you can use the move tool or erase tool. You cannot do anything to them, right? But the teacher has the ability to mark some objects to be movable or clonable by the student. So they can go here, they can select and say, hey, this object, students can move this. This object, students can move this, and students can clone the third one. And you can do that for any kind of object. So I can, in fact, put a dinosaur from, let's say, if you go to images.google.com and look for dinosaur, right? And then you can use the snip tool, for example. Every time the same dinosaur comes. So you can use the snip tool. You can copy it and just paste it anywhere on the whiteboard. So you can use their paste key, this Command V on a Mac, Control V on a Windows PC, right? So, and then you can, of course, You can resize it to be slightly smaller using the resize tool. For the resize tool, the move resize tool, you can just drag this corner, let it make it smaller, and then you can place it anywhere, right? And that at that point you can just select it and say students can clone this object as well, right? Now if I were to go back to my student board, for example, now I can use the move tool and essentially just when I sorry, one second. Right, so when I use the move tool, right, I can place, oops, somebody was complaining this is not working today. Okay, let me use the other tool and see. Yeah, I think somebody was telling us that this tool is broken. Anyway, it doesn't work. Yeah, so that it's supposed to clone it, but it's not cloning it. We'll take a look and probably fix it in the afternoon today. But at that point, what the students can do is that they should be able to clone that object and put them anywhere on the board. And if they're marked for move, they should be able to move them and put them anywhere on the move as well.
It's just working on my board if you want to show how it looks.
Maybe it's a Firefox thing. It doesn't work with Firefox. Maybe let me open it in a different Chrome window. So I'm adding another student. So what I did was I just took so see, when your student logs in for the first time, they're asked for a name, right? So they will, and their name actually is part of the board as well, automatically kept as part of the board. And so then now if I try to use the move tool, oh yeah, now it's moving. So you can see that you can clone the dinosaur as many times. You can move Africa to the right place if I know where it is. Right? You can move Asia to the right place, and you can move the oceans to where they need to go. Right? So and then you can keep cloning the objects that are clonable multiple times and keep putting them where you want to. So you can create your own palette library for the kids. For teaching anything for that matter, right? You're not restricted to items that we have in the palette, and the younger students don't have to search through things in the palette to put them on the board.
Just as a time check, maybe we want to share a link on Zoom with all the teachers. And I think there was a question about some teachers having problems sharing the link on Zoom chat as well. So this might be a good demo to show how it can be done.
So here, so if you see, I've created a new class, right? You can say this is the East Coast 4 p.m. class, right? So, and then I'm going to, you can rename your classes. I'm going to copy the link from the invite window, right? Just click this, copy invite URL, right? And I'm going to paste this on the Zoom chat if I can find it. Where is it, man? Go ahead. So,
if you want to just send it on Slack, I can paste it.
I need to find it. Yeah, it's not there anywhere. Weird. Okay, I'll send it to you, Sid, if you can paste it to them.
In the meanwhile, could you also explain how a teacher can share a board that is already created?
Yes. So, yes. So I'll show you some of the boards that other teachers have created, which are quite interesting actually. So while Sid sends you that, so we can go to manage boards directly from here, right? I'll show you some of the neat things teachers have created. This is a decimal bingo, which one teacher has created, right? It's very interesting. So what you can do with a bingo board, so what you can do is that if you have a PDF, like there's this animal feeling bingo, which has multiple pages. Each page corresponds to a bingo tile. And you can upload this to Whiteboard.chat. Right? When you upload this through a different mechanism called upload bingo, it will automatically give each student who joins a unique page from that particular bingo tile, from that file. So everybody can play bingo in real time. So for example, if I were to show you this, I'll make my students join this classroom, the bingo class. So you can see that this student got a different board from the teacher, right? And if you have multiple students, you can keep adding them, right? So if I were to go to another student, I can create another student using private window, and they'll get a third. So they'll get another bingo card, right? So all of them have bingo cards which are unique. And from the grid view, I can see all the kids playing bingo, right? So they're marking things in, this is from a previous webinar. Right, so you can see this one will be marked by this kid, and you can see who's winning, and you can choose who gets to win or who gets numbers, all of that. So it's very easy for you as a teacher to see how all of the kids are playing bingo. So this is one unique thing that one of the teachers had to do. And the way you share this with teachers is very easy. Once you have created this board, you go to this manage book and say send a copy. Right? So you just say send a copy, it will create a link. You just copy this link and you can email it to the other teachers, and they will have a copy of their own board. Right? So that's super easy to do. There are some more boards I can show you which other teachers have created, which are quite interesting. There is this bingo one. Sorry, you said, were there any questions?
Yes, there's a question about the community sharing link. Could you maybe specify that the teachers only have access to it and students don't?
That's right. So all of these things, like the share, everything in the manage books section, only the teachers have access to, right? So sending a copy, deleting, clearing all pages. You can clear all pages of a board, even the student board. Upload bingo, PDF, all of this is only available to the teachers, nobody else.
I think also there is a little bit of confusion about when a teacher uses someone else's shared board, how do they see it on their boards? Because they think that, I think the interpretation is that when they go to my boards, they only see their boards.
So when you send a copy link to another teacher, it will make a copy for that teacher. They'll never see your board. They'll never see your students. They'll never see your work. Right? From that point onwards, they are completely disjoint. So whatever the teacher is doing, it'll make a copy for all the objects for that other teacher. Right? So it'll never be the same. If you save a copy for yourself as well, it'll just from that point onwards, they're just two different roads. They do not intersect at that point. Right? So one and the other one are not common.
Here's a really good question. If I logged in as a student board, can I create a teacher board with the same account?
Yeah, so anybody can go to Whiteboard.chat. You don't need to have an account. Anybody can go to Whiteboard.chat and just say, start drawing and start teaching. Right? That's it. So you can have teacher boards and children boards and collaboration boards all from the same account.
Another question, is there an option to share with an embed code?
Yes, so again, this was actually something that some of the teachers have figured out on our Facebook group, where they have been able to embed this whole Whiteboard.chat in an iframe on Canvas, right? So it looks as if it is part of Canvas itself. So the kids never need to leave it. There is another option to invite kids. So there are two different things. Invite kids. So just like an invite link, you can put the link, or you can give the classroom code to kids as well. So if they're not able to click it, if you want to read it out in class, you can just ask them to type this in here in the classroom code, and they'll automatically join this board.
I think you interested some people in understanding how to put it in Canvas. Maybe you want to repeat that part again.
Yeah, so I don't know personally, but you can actually put the whiteboard. Whiteboard.chat allows itself to be embedded as an iframe in Canvas. If you're interested, you can send an email to feedback@whiteboard.chat or join our Facebook group. It's right there. Yesterday, somebody posted instructions as to how to embed this on Canvas. What else did I want to show?
Yeah, there's a question. There's a question. I think people are curious to know, how did the bingo board get handled differently from a regular PDF?
Yeah, so we had to add special logic because we understand this is bingo. So we, instead of replicating each page separately, what we do is that we just generate a random number, and whenever somebody sees that object, it assigns a page to them, right? So it's logic built into Whiteboard.chat. It's not something that you have to do. Oh, I forgot to show you one more thing. So this is another thing we recently added. So if you have access to PDF files, you don't have to download them to your computer, for example. Like, for example, I don't know if you guys know about this website called dadsworksheets.com. There are multiple such free websites. So if you want to do long division, for example, right, you can actually just take the link of the PDF file from here directly and go to whiteboard.chat and say upload linked PDF, and just put the link to the PDF into whiteboard.chat, and you guys are all on this. You should see this on your page number 2, right? That this worksheet is now available to all of you to start working on. Chet, were there more questions as well?
Yes, there's a question about how do you preview a student view of a board that I'm making?
So the easiest way is to open it in a different browser, just like I did. So for example, if you're using a Windows machine, you can use Chrome and Edge. If you're using Mac, you can use Safari and Chrome, or you can use incognito mode. That some people do that as well, where you can open a window in incognito mode and preview it as a student. Just to paste the invite link in the other browser.
Yeah, there's a question about classroom codes as well. Maybe it's worth voicing it for everyone. So do you get a separate classroom code for every board?
Yeah, so the way most teachers use it is that they use one classroom board for a few sessions of the same class, so kids can continue working on their boards the next time they come. They can go to page 2, page 3, page 4, so they don't have to change the link, right? And each link stays the same for that class, except that at some stage, maybe think of it like notebooks, right? Once you're done with that notebook, then you start a new notebook. That's the intention behind it.
There was a question earlier about Cleaver as well. So sharing on Cleaver should be the same as on Canvas or any other LMS.
That's right. So any LMS, you can put the link or the class code from the invite button, and you can start using it from there. The kids just need to click.
Yeah, is there a correlation between the Zoom breakout rooms with Whiteboard groups as well?
So most people do that, right? So most people actually do breakout. So they create a breakout room in Zoom and then put the same kids that are in the Zoom breakout room on a group board on whiteboard.chat. So they can talk to each other and they can do this.
There's a question about how do you get to a new page after working with a PDF?
So when you upload a PDF, for example, right, you can. We're having network issues. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So if you go to, for example, let's start doing a new board, right? You can just upload the same PDF that I did earlier. Upload file. Demo. Yeah, so you can upload This PDF has 3 pages in it, so 1, 2, 3. Right? And if you just go to the 4th page, it will automatically create a page for you. You don't have to do anything special. Right? So when you visit the page for the first time as a teacher, it creates the page for you.
Right. Question about a PDF and erasing. So I was able to erase the problems from the PDF. Will the students be able to do this also?
So the only way you can erase the problems is by drawing over it with a white pen, right? You shouldn't be able to delete the PDF or erase the parts of the PDF without doing that. If you are, there may be a bug. So maybe you can stick around and show us what you did if you did that in class today.
Yeah, there's a question about moving pages or rearranging pages rather. So when you set up your board, can you move from page 4 to page 1?
So not at this point. A lot of teachers have actually asked us for that ability. So we are looking at how to create the ability to move between pages, but we don't have that. What you can do though is that you have the ability to delete a page. So don't delete page number 1, it messes up things. So delete, you can delete any other page, or you can copy a page. So you can say, hey, I arranged everything on my page 1. Now I want to make page 2 the same as page 1. So these are the only 2 options available at this point.
Question about video call.
So yeah, so the video call is only available to the teacher, right? Some of the districts we have heard it is used a lot outside the US, right? Some of the districts I've heard don't like the video call to be here because kids can use it. So what we are thinking is that probably we'll create a different URL which doesn't include the video call, but it has built-in capability to run a video call in the tool itself.
Yeah, the question about how would you put 80 of us in this Zoom and have us work on the same whiteboard?
So we haven't tried on a collaborative board. We haven't tried more than up to 30 or 40 people, but you can do individual boards for sure. So you can actually do, you can keep doing next page, next page, next page, and you'll see all the kids. It scales nicely. There is no central piece that needs to all 80 people need to talk to. So that's a good thing. But yeah, we haven't tried 80 people on the same board yet. If there's a use case for it, we'll be happy to do it if you let us know what it is. I think we are 2 minutes in. We said maybe quickly go through the questions. So we are happy to stick around after this call as well. So we'll stick around for 30 more minutes if you want to interact with us, or if you want to have more questions or show us some bugs. We'll be happy to stick around. Let me quickly see if there are any questions. I'm trying to video feature with my iPad. We'll take a look at that. Oh, poll we didn't show at all. Oh, let me just quickly show the poll. So what you can do is that you can actually send a poll to a certain subset of the teachers or a subset of the students, right? So you can actually send a poll to 2 students. You can ask them a question in a certain format, which says, what color do you like, blue or green? Right? And the kids will get a button on their screen which will say which color do you like, and they can just press one or the other, and you'll see all the answers here on the screen. You cannot pre-create polls at this point, and they have to be answered in formatted in that way. You can upload any type of picture. It doesn't need to be PDF. You can paste pictures itself, and you can see classroom code I just showed you, right? Global use of Whiteboard. I think when does the program expire? I'm assuming the boards, they expire in 2 weeks, but you can extend it. How is it different than Whiteboard.5? It's quite different. It's different technology, but you can see that if you have used both of them. Is there a way to disable students from creating an account? We don't have targeted advertising. We actually took that out. It was a mistake in our privacy policy. So it's not there anymore in our privacy policy. So please check it again. Will I be able to set up my classes? Yeah, so We have science. We are also, math teachers have asked us for ways to type math equations. So we're going to add that too. How is the board protected from hackers? We actually have the best cloud level security that is offered by our cloud providers part of this. So it's quite well protected. Can I put a PDF document? I showed you it's very easy to put a PDF. So Whiteboard.5, we don't talk about bad things about other people. So can worksheet we send to students? Yes, so the students can work on this asynchronously or synchronously anytime, right? Whiteboard option in Zoom. I hope I covered some of that. I think we are pretty much out of time. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll continue, like I said, for 30 more minutes. Thank you. Thanks a lot for spending your time sharing it with us. Hopefully you found this useful.
Pawan, there's a request about how do you add a link on the whiteboard? Could you go over that?
Yeah, I'll show you that.